like I say, you would have to have been there around 1940 or 1950 or so, or 1930 to know that basically Nixon, John McCain, and a bunch of other people were wearing the body armor suits that were from the LSF hangar. They stole a bunch of basically museum pieces, pretty much. The LSF 71 aircraft were basically museum pieces, along with a lot of other relics and artifacts, basically, from my existence. And pretty much, basically just being stored. Um, so anyway, so like I said, it wasn't until we shot one in the shoulder that we actually knew that was them exactly. And that's how we tracked them down. So anyway, so a lot of cadets, a lot of people in the military wouldn't even know who they were really working for. That they was working for basically Zachary and basically John McCain, Richard Nixon, and eventually Bushy, I guess. Oh, what kind of last name is Bush? Other than maybe in the bush or something means hidden. Anyway, like I say, it doesn't really matter to me because mostly they just raped a bunch of young children and lied to a bunch of children and got them all killed. And mostly they just killed the young children that they had lied to. Basically, it got them, basically said, this man is bad, blah, blah, blah. And then they would get the children to go kill that man or do something or do a top secret, need to know military, national security thing. And basically it was all bullshit and lies. And that's all it was. Basically, you were Nixon's and John McCain's bitch, pretty much. The whole planet. Except for the black people, I don't know what their deal is. They're on a different scoop. And they're basically Mr. Brown's bitch, I guess. I don't know. And they have to and you have to rectify that with yourself and come to that understanding yourself, pretty much. Basically you were basically the bitch of a scam artist that basically ran a bunch of horse betting ring scams and football scams. And actually, like I said, they would just record things in 3 hours ahead. So, people can just deal with that. Basically that's pretty much what they were doing, was basically trying to become something or whatever. And like I said, basically that's why they basically caused a bunch of people to carpet bomb Germany and a lot of other things. A lot of people are like, oh, fuck that. It's like, well, I mean, hey, pretty much that's the way it is. I mean, you can do the research, look it up, look at the computer systems, look at the records, research John McCain, Richard Nixon, and Marilyn Monroe, and just see all the death and pain around them. Pretty much. And pretty much all that they were really doing was basically terrorizing Marilyn Monroe, Jackie, and a bunch of other women that happened to make the mistake of actually getting near them. Like I said, a lot of people that would get around USF, Harlem and Wolf, and also like the Alligator, whatever, the white submarines, and also the a lot of things, would find themselves regretting. Like one girl said in an interview, I was like, can I walk out? Can I just leave right now? Because a lot of people would find out what they're really doing, or would realize, certain things that basically, basically they work for scam artists, and basically they were just stealing a lot of money that really didn't mean anything. I mean, you might as well have just gone up to an ATM and gone boop, 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 beep, $100 million. And that would have actually been better than basically what they were doing, which is basically killing people, lying, sex, basically isolating women so they can have their way with them and make them... Anyway, it was just a bunch of, and a bunch of people worked and were working hard and thought they were doing something useful, but actually just wasting their time. And a lot of what they created or built was blown up or destroyed, and basically it was just so like I said, they would order things in other countries and have them built, like cars or factories or whatever, and then they would grab a couple and then drive off after shooting up everybody or killing everybody at the factory. So no one knew that they had come and gotten those cars, and they would just drive them for a while, then they would leave them at the side of the road, or just get bored, or just move on to something else, a ship or something. There's just a lot of random death, basically. Anyway, and scams, and basically just seeing how far they could push it. Anyway, that's what it was, basically. So anyway, like I said, didn't exactly affect my existence all that much, other than the fact that they wanted to get access to my colony ships and my cool toys and all kinds of other stuff or something. And I don't really care. I built the LSF ship, colony ship, and piloted it for many, many, many millions of years, thousands of years. I went to 30 to 120 different planets. I'm very well known. Like, hey, I'm a living legend. Well, I'm still alive, so anyway. That's why they wanted to kill me when I was 9 so badly, because they were trying to say that they were living legends, but it's like, no, not really. Not so much, other than betting. Anyway, they posted all this stuff on the TV, how they had done all this space stuff and all this other stuff, and had the Apollo radio show and all this other stuff, and it basically, Nixon was basically just a fucking lie. And basically, it was just, they had done too much, and basically, JFK had gone, I don't know. I don't know what kind of a president he was, or like as far as I know, what they said was all he did was go to the Washington D.C. building a bunch of times, and also film this fake movie at the Washington D.C. building, and then played this show that he was a United States president or the American president or something. And realistically, he never got into the Washington D.C. building, nor the White House for a very long time. And his brother or someone else got a little closer, and basically. People kept killing him. Nixon got the closest of all, I think. The closest of anyone. I don't really know. Like I said, you have to ask the people that hung around the Washington, D.C. building and the White House. Like I say, I'm not going to stick my foot in my mouth and say all this stuff about them. I mean, I just know. I'm just telling you what I know. And my involvement or my knowledge is basically what was going on. And I basically am going by things that people have told me and what I've seen on TV and what I know of my existence and everything else. And just saying, you guys figure it out for yourself. USF basically found my LSF-71 aircraft, chopped up some with a grinder, built some armor, made sure everyone was only shooting lead at them, and then ran amok. And that was in like 1930, 1940 something. So anyway, and that's pretty much all the only legacy of JFK and USF pretty much that I know of, other than carpet bombing and some other death, and mostly shooting up the Middle East. Also making a bunch of fake religious things that basically pretty much just were summed up to basically saying, women, worship thy man and give him whatever you want, or whatever he wants. And that's pretty much the sum total of pretty much most of that religious text. And basically just whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't read the book. I consider this book, those books to basically be tripe, and pretty much for a couple thousand years they were saying that we've only been here 2,000 years or 1,000 years, and they were saying that there's space dust and stuff like that. And pretty much they were really high on methamphetamine and cocaine and hallucinogens. So they said a bunch of crazy things. Like I say, go back to the film vaults, whip them open, and you'll see half of their crazy things. And maybe it's actually labeled properly. Basically go to the hard records. The old film cases, the old film casters, and you'll see if you can find the old glass plates, and you'll see a bunch of stuff. And you might be able to make sense of the last 50 or 100 years. But pretty much everything you've seen on TV, everything you've seen on the radio, everything you've seen in general is basically a fucking lie. And basically just JFK, Nixon, basically just, having his way with everyone. And basically he used it to basically torture Marilyn Monroe and a bunch of other women. That was his only real goal. And run amok. Like, dude. And basically he just wanted to kill you by year 2000. So, and basically mix into that a bunch of black people basically running amok themselves. And that's basically the last 100 years. I say, if you want to look up a real spaceship, you can look up the LSF spaceship and the LSF flyers and the ALSF-A spaceship, the colony ship that came here to Earth and many other planets. And that's me. And that's my legacy. Other than that, hey. And I named it America. Woo. And also led a bunch of races and life forms. So, anyway, you can ask Mars. You can ask any other planet. I was very, very, very well known. So, anyway, eventually someday Earth will basically decide to listen or contact Mars or something else like that.